Hello, everyone. I'm David, an ambassador for emotional wellness slash schizophrenia. It's kind of funny how the doctors and nurses and psychologists and general well-being case managers and all need to categorize a person. And in this categorization of the general public, they do not realize the stigma that is caused by their labeling of certain people. And I didn't think I was creating any type of harm by causing an emotional wellness. But it seems like there are just as many people afraid of people being emotional as there are being mentally ill. But we've lived with mentally ill for so long. And there are things about it that we can just pass away and say, okay, this is part of their personality. When emotional refers to anybody and everybody at all times. We all get emotional from day to day, from time to time, and sometimes we just lose control. This is something that kind of puts a fear into them when it really should, because they know that most people, they recover their emotion after a time. And that emotion is not long lasting to them. Only with a few is emotional well being long lasting. People like myself that's developed uh, a disorder or a lower functioning of way of life. But it can be a higher way if managed and done right. You see, some people that has so-called mental troubles, they look for somebody else to help them. And most of the time, the people that help them, it's about monetary gain. They like to put it, say, well, no, I'm really trying to help the person. And truth is, no, they're trying to promote an agenda. I guess in some way I am too. I'm trying to promote the concept of changing it from mental to emotional. Because with me, when you say mental, you just get a block instantaneously about dealing with that person. Few people are open minded enough to deal with mental illness. And there's just as many that's open minded enough to deal with emotional wellness as it is mental. And I still rather go with emotion than with the mental. Well, see, with mental, you get a stigma. Everybody in the known universe, the moment you put a label on somebody mental, it stays with them for the rest of their life. And that puts a fear in everybody else about you. Emotional, yes, it does. They do put a little bit of a fear into everybody, but it's not the same type of fear because people overcome emotional problems and troubles. People don't overcome mental stigmas. It sticks with them for life. With me, I suffered an emotional separation from my body and from my life, which caused lots of devastating reactions after that. And I can't go back and undo it. But the stigma of a mental illness can be overcome by realizing that it's an emotional thing. And this fear that the whole world has about mental illness and emotional illness is founded on certain beliefs. And yes, I say beliefs because beliefs is having faith in something unseen, but you take as truth into yourself. It doesn't matter where it comes from. When you get a stigma put onto you or a label put onto you, people have a natural fear. And this fear leads to different reactions about who you are. And the only reason why they react like this is because fear leads to the question of the unknown. That's all fear is. You know, when Kennedy says all we have to fear is fear itself, he never was more true than any other time. Fear is just a product of a lots of different things happening within a person. The biggest thing is discrimination. And this discrimination happens when they go ahead and accept the label that's put onto you as mental illness, not emotional, because mental illness has only that discrimination. Automatically, an employer might not put you to work if you had a mental illness, but if you had an emotional breakdown, yes, they will put you to work as long as you've overcome and you sought help and did the right thing. But that discrimination is founded by all the big medias, all the newspapers, all the religious zealots out there, all the different type of religions out there have labeled you and put fear because of the unknown. They don't know what's going to happen to you. Emotionally, you can overcome and they can deal with it. But when they say mental illness, that sticks with you for life. I've got a friend that keeps on saying, well, if you're off your meds, you know that you're going to relapse. No, relapse happens because you fear it, you see it, and so you question it because you don't know. And that fear is given to you through an educational process that comes through the media. The media has kind of lightened the mood a little bit because they don't like to say, oh, that guy's crazy. They say he's going through mental troubles or mental problems, or that's not normal, or that was just crazy. You know, these are the little things that are part of the stigma about mental illness that puts prejudice and discrimination into a person's mind. And it all comes from the fear of unknown. What they don't know, they think is going to hurt them. And me, myself, I had to live with it. You see, I'm an older gentleman. They look at me as white, but I'm an American Indian more than I am anything else. I come from the poorest of white class, is what they see, but I come poorest of America. I was undersized, so I was picked on because bullies don't like to pick on somebody their own size. They'll pick on the little guys first. Since I was undersized and I talked with a lisp and problems with a speech impediment, they all picked on me as a little child. Yeah, so I've had a lots of fights. I've learned to fight. I've learned to pick on those bullies because when you pick on a bully and you fight with them, they gain respect for you. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's the fact that you stood your ground. Bullies like that. But I've learned that what they've done is they fought me because of fear. They did not want others to associate with me for fear that one of their people that follows these bullies might like me. And if they like me, it may make them look bad. Again, the fear of the unknown. By me fighting them, and win or lose does not matter. What matters is I stood up for myself. Bully ain't gonna hurt me any more than falling down off a bike is gonna hurt me. You know, that's just part of my life, pain. And even today, that's a good life lesson that I've learned. I'm not afraid to fight somebody. It doesn't matter if I win or lose. I'm not going to back down. They may throw the first punch, but I may get the last one in. Doesn't make any difference. It's about the respect. And with that, I kind of get rid of the fear that they have in there. And that to me is more important than anything else. You see, it's not just fear. Fear leads into many different directions of people reacting to you. I mean, you teach a child that strangers are dangers, and you live by that principle. Everybody is a danger till you get to talk to them. But you can talk to them and get the feeling nice from them. But the moment they find out that you've had mental illness, that all goes away. There is a fear of the unknown. If you don't know something, it plays a big part of your life. And it dictates how you react to each other. And if somebody have an emotional breakdown, that can happen anytime. Loss of a loved one, loss of a child, the loss of a business, uh, anything. Loss of a friend, moving away, have an emotional breakdown. You know, there's a lot of things that happen that can bring on emotional thing, trouble in your life. But emotional troubles can be overcome. Mental illness cannot be overcome. And I'm saying this for people with certain prejudice and discrimination and uh, stigmas about you. You can't overcome that. But if you've had an emotional thing, yes, you do. And the truth is, we all lead to a point in our life where there will be an emotional breakdown. An emotional breakdown is not always boo-hooing and just lashing out at every little thing or stuff like that. Sometimes that emotional breakdown happens so silently and in deep inside of a person till it is never known. Not until my teenage years did I start really acting out, and they call it mental illness. But I've always had this emotional detachment ever since I was 3 or 4 years old. I can see back because of that identic memory that takes me back to it. That takes me back and relive each and every hurt that I've had to me. relive all the hurts I've had to others, and it gave to others, and this is a revolving door type of thing. But I've learned to deal with my emotions. Sometimes it gets to me, and I need a few days to relax and adjust. Grief is a real thing. When you lose a loved one or a loved pet, or a friend moves away, or somebody's going off the service, or you hear this and that going on, which same thing as world wars and stuff. This can be an emotional, trying time. And yes, you can lose that emotional part of you detaching somewhat. You have to reattach yourself. Most people can overcome that real easily because they talk to friends, they talk to loved ones. There are groups of people around that can help them. Few people out there has no one. Those living on the street, those that are the poorest of poor, those that have no other choice. And you say, well, yes, they always no. Sometimes choice is placed upon us, and the only thing we can do is give in to the choices of others and go ahead and live our life the way we want. I mean, I didn't choose to be poor, but if you haven't got money, you haven't got money. That's just the way it is. Then you have to choose how you do spend the money you do get when you do have it. That's not a choice that I make, but society makes for me. And they make that out of fear. Just like I did not choose to create a war in all these different nations, the government of our nations did it. And why did they do it? It's only because of fear of the unknown. They say, well, they hit me, I want to hit them back. Go back and forth, and all wars happen back and forth. No one likes to lose anything, so they strike out at different nations for this and that reason. It's all about fear of the unknown. It's no different than the fear that I live with or you live with each and every day. But the fear of mental illness is greater than that of any fear that a president or a national leader, or emperor or king has for other countries that they don't understand or they don't want to accept. This is fear and prejudice and discrimination, no matter how you put it, no matter how you see it. And I know in a few years from now, nobody's going to remember anything that I've said. Nobody's going to accept what I'm saying as emotional wellness, emotional detachment, emotional troubles. They're going to see it as just mental illness given to the stigma of adding on to us. They're going to divide it up in many different ways, but it's all about emotional wellness. The moment you achieve that emotional wellness, you see where all this plays in, how this been part of your life. Fear, for me, yes, I have fears. I fear dying. I'm not worried about it. I fear living. It's going to happen. I'm not going to take my own life. This is part of my life. I fear lots of things in this world, but the biggest thing that I fear is that what I'm talking about will be lost for generations till someday somebody might see it, or they'll say, well, this person over here thought of it because they was brilliant mind, and they'll forget about me. And that is part of my fear. But the truth is, It doesn't matter because, after all, history repeats itself over and over and over, all because of the fear. This David, an ambassador for emotional wellness, bidding you have a good day and you have a happy life.